All right, Ada, can you tell me what courage means to you?
I guess it means you're doing something that you did not expect to do, something that is not in the constant type thing that you would do, not an ordinary thing.
What courage means to me, when I think of courage, compassion comes to mind. And a lot of times we think of compassion for others, but I do think that we need to be compassionate with ourselves. Courage, I think myself, I have to dig deep within myself to really find the strength to carry on, to face fears of the unknown, maybe suffering, pain, illness, loss.
And as far as courage, back in the day, we had several children, and one son had muscular dystrophy, Duchenne type, and that taught our family a lot. We grew closer together, and I would say that took a lot of courage on all our parts. We did learn a lot.
It's important to have courage. You have to be strong when times are tough. And I lost my husband about 20 some years ago, and it took courage for me to go on without him.
To leave the unknown, to go out into meet people that I've never met before. It took courage for me to do that because I'm rather a timid person, I think. Some people might think I'm not, but I think I am. You know, it just takes courage to go into a new group.
Well, one thing was courage to be in here with my wife. I'm not able to keep up with the medication and stuff that she is on until I needed help in her. And I won't leave her in here without being with her myself. So we're both ended up that way in here. That's why we're here.
Benjamin Franklin said the only thing certain in life is death and taxation. Well, you can add another thing to that. Death is the ultimate end that we'll all experience. But the other thing you can add to it that we all experience is adversity. And what's adversity? Adversity is pain, sorrow, suffering, and we all have to deal with that. And how we deal with that is what takes the courage. And when we exercise that courage, we don't succumb to fear or anxiety. We work through it and we become the good people that the good Lord wanted us to be.
Courage means to me something I have to do that I don't really know nothing about. Yeah.
I've thought a lot about courage because I think it's so necessary and so hard to come by. I think the one word that comes to my mind when I think of courage is being honest with myself, being honest with other people. Somehow that captures it for me. I think of two animals, I guess. I think of the bird, the ostrich. I can either put my head in the sand and deny what's going on, either with myself, within myself, or around me, or I can be a giraffe and put my head in the sky. Sometimes I think, if I put my head in the sky and just pretend it's not happening, then I don't have to deal with it. But courage requires me really to be honest with what is going on. So, and if I'm not aware of what's going on, it doesn't take any courage to deal with it, because I can just ignore it.
Can you tell me what courage means to you?
Well, I've never really thought about it, but I think kind of being risky, especially for me, I never was a person to do anything risky. But sometimes you're forced to, and I think I would say I was forced to. I am a survivor of cancer twice, and the pain is about the worst thing that I've experienced with the second cancer that I had, and that was when I was here.
I would say it's where my husband passed away, and I've been able to get through it, and that takes courage for me to get through his death.
Several years back, I was a first responder at Columbine High School with the mass shooting as a chaplain. And that lobby was chaotic, as you can only imagine from all the shootings we have today. It was the first one, and so we didn't have that down at all. And big TVs were on the walls of victims still falling out of, the kids falling out of the windows and everything. And I was kind of at a stopping point and stood standing in the lobby, and this man rushes up to me, frantic. And he says, "I have been to 5 hospitals. I cannot find my wife." So I took his name very calmly, took his name and her name and what she did, and went back. And she was there at our hospital. But his thought and mine too was, if you can't find her, she could be among the dead. So I thought, I've got some good news for him. So I went back to him and I said, "She's here. She had surgery, but she'll be released. Well, is she going to be okay?" And I looked him right in the eye. We both did. We had tears. And I said, "You know, she's going to survive the wounds from today. But the two of you will take a lifetime to survive what happened."
Well, yeah, it took courage to get married, marry a man I'd never lived with, and I didn't know how I was going to get along with him, and I believe that once you marry somebody, you don't leave them just because you get tired of them. You stay with them through thick or thin.
My teacher told me she would whip you if you didn't know how to read things and stuff like that back then in the day. So she told me to take the book home and have my parents help me read this. So I did, and my dad read me. And I had to read this page over and over and over again until I got it perfect. And so I did. So when the next day came, the teacher asked you to read that same story. And so I raised my hand, and what do you call it? I read it perfect, word for word, but I memorized it. Yeah.
Yeah, that took some courage.
Yeah.
I was in Africa for a while, for about 4 years. And I knew near the end of it that that's not where I belonged, that it's not where my gifts could best be used. And I needed to make a decision to come back home and to the States. And it was a very hard decision because I loved being there. And I loved doing what I was doing, but it was not the best setting for me. And so I had to make the decision to come home, and I did. It took me a little bit of time, but I did make that decision with the help of an encouragement of other people. And that's part of it, encouragement, people giving you the support and the courage to do what you need to do.
I know of a wonderful, good and glorious physician who's a sister of charity. In her early years, she was a black belt in martial arts. She teaches at a prestigious medical school. She has gone abroad on sabbaticals to help the underprivileged in various parts of Asia, where she learned acupuncture and brought it back to this country to apply with her other medical skills. And as a clinician and going through her hospital work, she usually has young interns or senior medical students going along with her to learn from her. And she many times asks these students, who do you think exhibits the best courage and strength and understanding in difficult times with trauma? And they'll say, oh, it's the strong, it's the young, it's the athlete. She says, not at all. It's the senior citizen who's experienced life. And I think she's hit the bullseye.